hear the word systemic so many times. It's so often. We actually have fatigue about the word systemic. Right? If you are a white person in your home and you've never actually actively been racist in your own mind versus a person of color, you hear this word and it just becomes kind of like this white noise, quote unquote white noise. But the problem is, the most dangerous racist in the world is one who's convinced themselves that they are not racist, right? And it's because of the systemic type of things that are taking place that has conditioned us all in these certain ways. So what LS1 is talking about, the fact of the matter is, when I go to a club, or if I'm dealing with someone who happens to be an executive in a music label, there's certain opportunities that I don't get that these other people get. Or if you're Mark Strickland, who is a former player who's looking to have opportunities in the league, who's saying, hey, wait a second, why am I not getting these same opportunities that a George Karl, who's never done much more past a certain level in the playoffs? Mike Antoni, I call him Mike Antoni because he got no G, all right? Who's got job after job after job after job after job. So we start to look at these things and start to say to ourselves, wait a second, why do these things happen to people that look like me and don't happen to people that don't look like me? There was just a case here recently in Baltimore, Maryland, where a woman took her son to a restaurant. All right, she was told that he would not be able to get access to this restaurant because he had athletic gear. The mother showed clearly that a young white child had athletic gear who was in the restaurant and was told by two managers that, no, listen, our policy is you can't come in. You can't come in. Right? Now, I'm not going to go as far as to say these two managers are blatant racists and card-carrying members of the KKK. However, there's that systemic thing that takes place in people's minds, whether you're black, white, or whatever, that it just becomes a part of your fabric. And until you're able to realize that these things are happening, that they're going on, you can't actually take place and say, all right, wait a minute, this is happening. You know, it's like certain things that we say, like I remember hearing a term, your cotton picking hands. Right? It's just a term that would roll off the tongue of some people, but take a look at the context of that. Cotton picking hands, who was picking cotton? Whose hands was on the cotton? Right? It wasn't people who looked like the George Washingtons, the Ulysses S. Grants, the people that they're trying to tear down the statues of. It was people that looked like me, Mark, LS1, the rest of us. So until you start to actually take a deeper look, a deep dive into what is in your own psyche, you're gonna have major problems. That's one.
It's funny, growing up in Jamaica, a lot of these things I never really experienced because my family basically isolated a lot of these things from us growing up. But I didn't grow poor, but I didn't grow rich. Meaning that we learned that life is richness. So we don't look at objects or anything, you know? And that's what, you know, Whalers represent is peace, love, and unity. And me as a younger generation, to carry on the legacy, I had to live it and feel it as well, you know? And you know, in Jamaica, we said many out of many, because a lot of us in Jamaica, most of us are mixed in Jamaica, right? But if you ask any Jamaican, they always say, yeah man, I represent Africa. And we always say that naturally, it doesn't matter what color, you know, because in Jamaica most of us never grew up knowing about race. We only know about class. You know, so we know that that's class and this is, you know, that's the only thing we know. So when I moved to America as a kid, I went to high school. That was the first time, you know, my family actually heard about race and stuff. So when we heard about it, we thought it was childish. We were like, what is that? Okay. You know, but then we start to realize how serious it was. And that's why, you know, I have friends in every category. And I treat all of the friends then equally, you know, because that's what we represent. And seeing how America has gone backwards, because I thought those things was like back in the days. I said, man, thank God I wasn't born in those days. And then now I'm like, oh shoot, what's going on, you know? So that's why right now we have a new song called One Word, One Prayer.
Yes.
Can
you sing it? Come on.
Yeah, I'll give you everything. Well, you know, it was produced by Amelia Stefan, you know, and what the song really represents is one word, one prayer, meaning that all religion, one prayer, because I grew up as a Rastafarian, and also my mother is a Christian. So it's like we grew up into both of those things. As I got older, I started to get into spirituality and learning about positive energy, doing yoga and those things, you know? You know, so right now, whatever we can do to bring people together, that is what we do. And if we have to have these conversations, because we have to open our mouth because it has to be done. But my father told me when he was touring with Bob, it wasn't so easy. You know? And yeah, man, you know, the cops, they search them, they never find anything. But, you know, and you know, to see how far they did their stuff so we can survive in these days, you know. So what we say, one word, one prayer. One word.
One prayer.
One word. Yes. And that is us.
Thank you.
Actually, I have a question, and it's for all of us. What's next? Like, what do we do next? Where do we go from here? Where we are is not good.
No.
This is not good at all.
Our own country.
Yesterday, I'm driving my car, I get a cop car behind me. My license is good, my Benz is mine, no payments, I own my house, but I'm nervous as hell. I didn't make any wrong turns, but I'm nervous.
Yeah.
Like, and the only thing I thought about was, I need to get home to my family tonight. So my question for us on this panel, like, of course we can't solve the issue now, but this can be a start. What's next? Where do we go from here?
You know, what's next to society that what we face right now, this pandemic? What's next that we get out and make a change, and the change starts from the top? That's what next. I think from a virtual perspective, we can watch what's going on there, pay very close attention, because this pandemic got us at a standstill. By us being at a standstill, we get a chance to see more, talk more, express more, and do more. So what's next when we come out of this pandemic, this is what I feel, as all people of color, of race, of ethnicity, and background, that we stand up for what's right. And I think the only way we can do in America to stand up for what's right is change leadership in America. Because racism starts at the top. And that's where, and I hate to say it, but that's just sometimes in society. We have to make a stance right now that what we stand for is a purpose. Yes, you know, Floyd, I mean, that hurt us. But that's a wake-up call.
You have to do
because
it
even
worldwide.
though the fact that we are in our homes now and we're relaxing, we're reflecting, we're trying to make a difference on what our ancestors want to do. So I'm asking everybody in this room, don't just love me today, but I need you to love me tomorrow. But just don't drink with me today. I need you to drink with me tomorrow. So K.R., when they see you out there and they got a party getting ready to go on, everyone in this room should be able to talk about your name, and this is what we want to change. You can only ask individuals to impact society if you hold them accountable. Hold me accountable, the people I know. Hold Mark accountable. Hold everybody accountable now. When there's a party and a big party going on, you are the man. That's what's next.
We need to come up with some type of database or application so we know that in certain levels, whether it's collegiate, sports, and we don't have the proper African-American male or female representation, whether it's corporate America and these banks, Apple, for instance, I saw their statistics, it doesn't look good. And I know a lot of people that look like me are the biggest supporters and consumers of those products. So the companies that we're spending dollars with, that $8 billion consumer report that African Americans, minorities in particular are making up, we need to start doing business with people that's respecting us, or putting policies in place for the people that's not respecting us. This is what goes on when you don't respect us. Because at some point, the playing field has to be level and has to be a demanding thing. You can't ask anymore, because with Dr. King, we had a blank check that we're still waiting on. We have a blank check that a lot of companies has not fulfilled, and that has not put any digits on the blank check. So that's the first thing that needs.
So when I say about a candidate, to get a candidate has nothing to do with it. When you talk about the legislation that takes place, all right, where they're now talking about on a federal level to ban a chokehold. Don't think for a second that it has anything to do with some level of humanity or some level of, oh my God, I can't believe this happened. Believe that it has to do with insurance companies who have to pay out billions in policies. Okay, that actually had to say, oh, wait a second, so we have to pay out billions because this rogue foot soldier who knew no better than to stay on a man's neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds because he never had the proper physical combat training to understand that even 1 minute would have done the job? Okay, that is a problem. So when those same insurance companies go to the people who they are have their lobbyists go to and say, oh no, we're never gonna pay this amount of money on that again. That is where it's coming from, because it comes down to the great American doctor. Okay? That is all they care about. That's all they've ever cared about. That's why slaves were brought to this country in the first place. That's why they remained here. That's why even though the numbers of Africans who were brought to this country were so high, and today we only represent 13% of the overall population, because they didn't allow Africans or people of Africa to come to this country while they were letting European immigrants come here all the time from Germany, from Italy, from Ireland, from there on, and so on and so on and so on. It becomes a part of the dollar. So don't think for a second when policy begins to change, it has anything to do with humanity. It is the dollar bill. So whether it's AIG, Geico, State Farm, whichever one it is who has to pay out all that money, they are looking at the people who they pay to be their lobbyists and their spokesmen to make sure they say, you want this $500,000 check for your next campaign? Okay, make sure that never happens again, because we're never going to pay out this amount of money again. It has nothing to do with Biden, Trump, whoever. Biden was part of the '94 crime bill, okay? They want to say that Clinton was the first black president. I don't give a damn. He put more black faces in jail than any other president throughout the history of the United States of America. And Joe Biden was his main man behind him, talking about busting through the 70s and on and on and on. So I don't care. They're all of the same ilk. They don't mean shit to me, okay? What matters to them is their dollars. So when we start to affect their dollars, then we're going to start to affect their cents, and that would make sense for all the rest of us.
So in today's society, we won't be educators anymore. We'll become, as adults, we'll become facilitators. Children will be teaching us, and we will be facilitating. So here's the key that I watched. They told me to incorporate a class called financial literacy. When I did my homework and I looked at the word financial literacy, I looked at the fact that my literacy scores was 23% proficiency. So literacy was a key word for African Americans back in the days. Let me explain. Literacy was a key word for African Americans back in the days because our ancestors were illiterate. So it's powerful. We have to watch these terminologies and transcend these terminologies and help educate our kids so they can be caught up on the historical artifacts. What we have did is disenfranchise children on what happened yesterday as to what happened today. These are the best and the brightest kids out here right now, and the movement that they have for George Floyd, I'm behind them 100%.
I have 7 passports, full. I've been to every country except South Africa. Everywhere that I have been, I have not encountered what I encounter here. I'm treated with respect. I'm treated with authority. I'm treated with love. They don't look at me as a black man. They look at me as a DJ. They look at me as an entertainer. We always talk about the things we've done. You've been on a major platform on BET. Around the world, even before you even went across seas one time, your face was over there. When you got there, it was open arms. I'm not gonna say I don't care, but I don't care because we're dying here.
Yes.
I'm dying. We're dying in our backyards. We're dying at our stores. This is not about the world right now, and I don't want to sound aggressive and mean about it, but it sucks. It's not about the country right. It's not about the world right now. It's about what we're living every day right here. When I'm driving every night, I look in my mirror as if I'm being tailgated by some criminals because I'm nervous. I'm afraid of getting pulled over.
Everyone's.
And I'm legal. I have wife and kids. I got 2 grandkids.
Everybody's.
Like, I'm nervous. So I don't care about what's happening other places because other places, they're not killing black men. Black men are not dying in the streets at the hands of the police, and it's okay. So I don't care about what's happening worldwide. We're dying here today.
I would say this: education is the utmost key. Right? The fact of the matter is that most black people in America are not aware of the Tulsa slaughter until it became a point of Donald Trump wanting to have it on an anniversary of Juneteenth in Tulsa is obscene. The fact of the matter is that when we talk about the youth of America, black, white, and otherwise, that the only thing that they can point to in the past of African American history is Dr. Martin Luther King and not know a damn thing about him other than I have a dream is obscene. Okay, so what we need to do, because I believed in this for a very long time. You ask a question like, so what do we do now? Even from a business standpoint, you go have a meeting, my number one thing is, okay, how do we move this forward? So how do we move this forward? Education. We are at a time where you can actually educate yourself in ways that you never could before. Go to your Netflix account. Take a look at the 13th documentary. Understand a certain amount of history that got us to this place today. Okay? Take a look at something called How to Make a Slave from Willie Lynch. Okay? Start to take a look at the Stonewall Rebellion. So when you are watching Kanye West make the worst comment I've ever heard in mankind, that slavery was a choice, and basically all our ancestors was punks. All our ancestors laid down and chose to be enslaved. Okay? And for him to still sell them bullshit, ugly ass sneakers for $500 and y'all still want it? Alright? Okay. That should have been shut down. Just off that offering. Okay? So we have to understand that he is lacking in so much knowledge. He has no education in regards to our history and who we are. Because it's not even just black history, it is world history. So all those people who are standing up for all those Confederate statues, who have been placed there by the Confederate Daughters of America, and Google them and check out why those statues are there in the first place. Okay, if that's not such a big deal, oh, it's just history, then why was our history eradicated from America's textbooks? Okay, why was the only thing that you may have seen was Crispus Attucks was the first man to die during the American Revolutionary War, and the next thing you see is only Dr. Martin Luther King. So we have to educate ourselves. Listen, just do a Google search. Do a YouTube search, do a Netflix search. There's so many things even on Amazon Prime. So how do we move this forward? By educating ourselves, okay? And take that to the next level, all right? Because they talk about educating kids, educate the damn adults. Because look, if I don't know nothing, how am I gonna teach a child something? So we have to empower ourselves, and until we are able to do that, we cannot empower anybody else. And that is the first damn step that we all have to take. And it is easier than it has ever been in the history of the world.